He walked out like any normal day. No warning, no goodbye. There was nothing about that morning that suggested history was about to be written in pain. The sun rose the same way it always did. Traffic moved the same way it always had. People worried about work, money, deadlines, and life. Somewhere in the middle of all that normality was DJ Warras, a man who had become familiar to millions yet remained deeply human, deeply private, deeply ordinary in the most beautiful way. Hours later, a nation would be asking one question in disbelief. How did DJ Warras die in broad daylight? And why did it hurt so much? There are names that trend for a few hours and disappear. And then there are names that stop people mid-scroll, mid-sentence, mid-breath. DJ Warras was one of those names. When the news began to circulate, it didn't feel real. Phones buzzed, screens refreshed. Messages started with, "Have you seen this?" and ended with, "Please tell me it's not true." For a moment, South Africa collectively held its breath, hoping it was another cruel rumor, another fake headline designed to shock. But this time it was. DJ Warras was not the kind of man people expected to see in tragic headlines. He wasn't known for chaos. He wasn't loud in controversy. He wasn't chasing clout or scandal. If anything, he represented stability in an industry that often feels unstable. He was consistent. He was calm. He was present. And that is why his death landed differently. Those who met him in person often say the same thing. He made you feel comfortable, not impressed, not intimidated, comfortable. He listened more than he spoke. He observed more than he reacted. In a world where everyone is trying to be seen, DJ Warras had the rare gift of seeing others. That is why when Minister Gayton Mackenzie spoke and said DJ Warras was a pure example of who we should be, those words felt heavy with truth. Because being an example doesn't always mean being perfect. Sometimes it means being decent, being respectful, being kind when no one is watching, being grounded in a society that often rewards noise over substance. But then came the sentence that changed the tone of the conversation entirely. Build One South Africa leader Musi Maimane described what happened as a brazen murder in broad daylight. Those words did not whisper. They echoed. Broad daylight. A time we associate with safety, with movement, with life continuing. Broad daylight is supposed to protect you. And when it doesn't, fear creeps into places it wasn't invited. In that moment, DJ Warras stopped being just a public figure. He became a symbol of something much bigger. A reminder that no level of recognition, talent, or goodness makes you immune in a country struggling with violence. Many viewers, DJ Warras was a familiar face on television. Someone they watched from their couches, laughed with, enjoyed, and admired from a distance. But to the people who worked closely with him, he was far more than that. Shirley Adnesy, director of local entertainment channels at Mnet, described him as a talented storyteller, a passionate music lover, and a warm soul. Those words matter because storytelling is not just about speaking. It's about understanding emotion, timing, silence. DJ Warras understood that. He didn't just play music. He felt it. He didn't just appear on screen. He connected through it. People say he had a way of bringing energy into a room without demanding attention. A way of making moments feel lighter. A way of reminding people why they fell in love with creativity in the first place. Mzansi Magic echoed those sentiments, describing him as a man of charisma, warmth, and sharp wit. They spoke of legacy, and that word can feel abstract until moments like this. Legacy is not just what you leave behind. It's what continues to live in people when you're gone. It's how people speak your name when you're no longer in the room. And then, after the tributes, after the shock, after the disbelief, reality settled in. The kind of reality that doesn't trend but refuses to leave. South Africa is one of the most industrialized nations on the African continent, a country rich in talent, culture, innovation, and resilience. And yet, it also carries one of the highest murder rates in the world. According to police data, around 63 people are killed every single day. 63 families shattered. 63 stories interrupted. 63 futures erased. Every day. Robberies, gang violence. Wrong place, wrong time. Stories that blur into statistics until a familiar name reminds us that each number was once a person who laughed, planned, dreamed, and mattered. DJ Warras became one of those numbers, but he was never meant to be reduced to one. He was someone who woke up with plans, someone who had people waiting for him, someone who had more to give. His death forced a question that South Africa has been avoiding for too long. If someone like DJ Warras is not safe, who is? This question doesn't have an easy answer, and maybe that's why it hurts so deeply, because it exposes a vulnerability we all share. It reminds us that violence doesn't always knock before entering, that it doesn't discriminate based on goodness or contribution, that it can reach into ordinary moments and turn them into lifelong scars. In the days following his death, social media filled with tributes, photos, clips, quotes, people sharing moments they never thought would become memories, and in between the sadness there was anger, confusion, exhaustion, a collective frustration with a cycle that feels endless. But there was also something else, reflection. People began talking about kindness, about checking on one another, about how often we celebrate people only after they are gone, about how fragile life is, even when it looks stable. DJ Warras' story hurts because it feels close, because it doesn't feel distant or abstract. It feels like it could have been anyone, a colleague, a neighbor, a friend, and that familiarity makes it impossible to ignore. Yet in the middle of the pain, there is something that refuses to disappear. His impact, the sound of his voice, the way he made people feel, the reminder that being decent still matters, even in a harsh world. His story is not just about how he died, it's about how he lived, quietly, authentically, with warmth, with intention, with humanity. And perhaps that is where his true legacy lies, not in the tragedy, but in the way people speak of him, with respect, with love, with a sense of loss that proves his presence mattered. DJ Warras is gone, but the conversations he has reignited are still here. Conversations about safety, about violence, about what kind of society we are becoming, and about what kind of society we still hope to be. Rest in peace, DJ Warras. Your name stopped a country. Your life reminded us of our shared vulnerability, and your memory continues to echo in a nation that felt this one deeply.